how much of the improvisational style that was going down in Bela Fleck? Because they say, you know, you use everything that leads up to your next opportunity. Obviously, do you feel like if you
Sure.
hadn't been in a group that allowed you to kind of flex that muscle, that when joining DMB, you know, presented itself, that you wouldn't have even been considered? Because I'm sure that factored in, right?
Well, we knew those guys from doing opening dates in the late '90s,
Oh shit.
and Carter and Roy Future Man Wooten and Vic go back even further than that. They grew up together in Virginia Beach, so there's been a long history with those two groups together.
Gotcha.
And so that's how I originally met those guys. So yeah, without the Flecktones, that would never have happened.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
was that so you were with the Flecktones 14 years, 3 Grammys, which by the way, what's winning a Grammy like?
You know, it was interesting, man, because it was validating on one hand, and sort of, well, the first time we were nominated, we didn't win. And I remember not being disappointed, which I was really happy about, because I was like, oh, okay, well, this is important, but it's not why I'm playing music.
Right.
You know? So it's validating on one level, and exciting, of course, to get recognized. And, but like they're in my house, man. They're just up in my office. They're not out here. It's not something that I'm like, oh, check out my Grammys,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And,
that would have been great if you pulled up one right from the bottom of your.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to show you my Grammys that I had right here, waiting for you to bring it up. Yeah. 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 That's, I mean, that's way cooler to have at your disposal.
So, you know, but it's exciting. I mean, it's incredible to win something like that. And so, yeah, I mean, we're very grateful, you know, we're all very grateful. And,
so
but it's not why we play.
Right. Of course. Well, for me, it's why I act. If I don't win an Oscar, this whole career's been a fucking waste. Yeah.
I'll make some calls.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So 2010, you know Leroy, again, you said like the bands, you guys were all connected. Yeah. And so how does that?
It was 2008 when it happened. So I did both
right.
bands for 2 years. I did both bands for 2 years.
Is that that's a big, yeah, I was just going to say, like, I don't, because when they ask you, you want to, just what's going through your head? You're like, can I do both? I want to do both. Is it like, do you have to check in with the Flecktones to even see if they're cool with it? Or is it like, you have to make sure all the dates match up?
Well, when I got called, it was only supposed to be for 2 or 3 months, because Roy was, you know, supposed to recover from his injuries, you know?
Right.
And so the Flecktones were off that summer. So it was easy for me to change stuff around and do it. And then when Leroy passed, you know, at the end of the year, they asked me to stay on, and I talked to Bela and the guys about it. And Bela said, you know, we're not doing a whole lot these days, so you should do it. You know, Vic is doing some of his own projects. I'm doing some of my own projects. He said, you should do this. You know, it's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. He says, for the way you play, you know, he said, this is a great opportunity for you. And so, again, talk about a great leader, man. I mean, it's amazing, you know.
That's incredibly selfless, you know, like that's because who knows what would have transpired if you know, he hadn't been that generous with your next move. So then once you kind of make that choice, I mean, is it just, you know, I'm sure you like know their music well enough, but is it just like, are you just sitting down?
No.
Oh,
that
really?
was the thing. No, I didn't know their music, you know. I knew a little bit of it because we had toured with them a little bit, but the stuff I was listening to was very different. I wasn't listening to pop music at all. And so when I got the call, I literally had less than 24 hours notice for the next gig.
Holy shit.
And I was in New York at a friend's wedding, so I had to have all my stuff driven from Nashville to Charlotte. I had to fly down from Boston. And so, yeah, it was a little crazy.
Did you just kind of sit on a couch and just listen to fucking hours of?
I just wrote stuff out. You know, Rashawn came in, Dave came in, and Rashawn and I just sketched out parts for a few days. Had them in a little 3-ring binder and a music stand and a light, and just, you know, played the gig. and just did what I had to do to get through. But everything that I had ever worked on allowed me to do that. You know, all the fundamentals, my ability to read, to write, to listen, et cetera, to play all the horns, and to say yes. You know, the power of yes, man, is very important, especially in our business.
How did
You know
that?
that as well as I do.
Oh, 1,000%. How did that first gig go? As far as were you kind of set on, let me just get through this and kind of, you know, not take any chances or not, you know, feel out some of these improvisational moments, or did kind of Dave look at you and go, dude, you know what you're doing, jump in?
Yeah, that was what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would just watch Rashawn for my cues, and just kind of went from there. But it was very seamless the first night, you know, and it stayed that way. So because they're such an established group, jumping into something like that, as long as you have your shit together, then you can do it, you know. And but I've never worked harder on a gig in my life, I'll tell you that.
Really?
Yeah. And then when I had to learn the catalog the next year, it's like 150 tunes, you know. So every day for a month, literally every day for a month, 3 or 4 hours a day, I just put my iPod on shuffle and start playing along.